You know that moment when you tell yourself, I am definitely starting tomorrow? Tomorrow I will wake up earlier. Tomorrow I will go to the gym. Tomorrow I will start the project. Tomorrow I will stop wasting time. It sounds productive in the moment, almost like you have already made progress just by deciding. But then tomorrow comes, and somehow the same pattern repeats. That is what makes the starting tomorrow mindset so dangerous. It feels responsible, but most of the time, it is just a clean-sounding delay. A lot of people live inside this pattern without fully noticing it. They keep pushing important things forward one day at a time. Not because they do not care, not because they have no goals, but because tomorrow feels easier than now. Tomorrow feels less uncomfortable. Right now, starting can feel messy, tiring, inconvenient, and uncertain. So, the mind quietly chooses delay and dresses it up as planning. That is why the starting tomorrow mindset is so common. It does not look like failure. It does not even look like procrastination at first. It often looks organized. It sounds reasonable. I will do it when I have more energy. I will do it when I have more time. I will do it after this week. I will do it once things calm down. And because the excuses sound believable, people keep accepting them from themselves. The strange thing is that people often stay busy while still delaying what matters most. They clean, they rearrange things, they answer small messages, they watch productivity videos, they make new plans, they think about the task, they feel mentally involved with it all day, but the real action never begins. That is why this pattern is so frustrating. You can feel active and still make no real progress. In real life, the hardest part is usually not the whole task. It is the beginning. Starting is what creates friction. Starting means facing effort. Starting means giving up comfort. Starting means being imperfect at first. And most people do not actually have a problem with goals. They have a problem with the discomfort of beginning. So instead of confronting that discomfort, they postpone it. The problem is that delay feels small in the moment, but it becomes expensive over time. One day does not feel serious. One skipped workout. One delayed application. One postponed conversation. One more night of saying tomorrow. But then one day becomes a week becomes a month. And after a while, people are not dealing with one small delay anymore. They are dealing with a pattern that quietly shapes their life. This is where a lot of frustration comes from. People start feeling stuck, not because they are incapable, but because they are always almost starting. They live close to action, but not inside it. They think about improving. They imagine a better routine. They picture themselves becoming more disciplined. But because that future version is always pushed forward, the gap between intention and reality keeps getting wider. And the longer that gap stays open, the heavier the task starts to feel. Something simple at the beginning can become mentally huge just because it has been delayed so many times. This is why people often say things like, I do not even know why I am not doing it. The truth is, delay builds pressure. Pressure builds avoidance. And avoidance makes the thing feel even bigger than it really is. A lot of people also delay because daily life already feels tiring. They are mentally full, distracted, and stretched thin. So, when they think about starting something important, it feels like one more demand on top of everything else. In that state, tomorrow becomes a form of relief. Not a real solution, just a temporary escape from pressure. That is why the starting tomorrow mindset often shows up more when people feel stressed, overwhelmed, or low on energy. Sometimes the issue is perfectionism too. People tell themselves they will start when they can do it properly, when they have the perfect plan, the perfect morning, the perfect mindset, the perfect level of motivation. But real life almost never gives you perfect conditions. So if you keep waiting for the ideal moment, you stay waiting. And many people confuse wanting to do it perfectly with being ready to begin. Those are not the same thing. What actually helps is usually much less dramatic. Instead of asking, when will I finally be ready? A better question is, what is the smallest version of starting I can do right now? Not the full workout, just putting on the shoes, not finishing the whole project. Just opening the file, not fixing your whole routine, just doing one part of it today. This is important because action does not need to begin in a big way to count as real. A lot of people think they need motivation first, but that is usually backwards. Motivation often comes after movement, not before it. Once you begin, resistance usually drops. The mind stops making the task feel as huge. Things become clearer, energy shifts. But when you stay in delay, the task keeps growing in your head. That is why waiting can feel safe, while action feels hard. Yet, action is the thing that actually makes life lighter. The goal is not to become some perfect disciplined person overnight. The goal is to stop strengthening the habit of postponing your own life. Every time you constantly tell yourself tomorrow, you train your mind not to trust your own decisions. But every time you take even one small action today, you start rebuilding that trust. That matters more than people realize. Discipline is not only about results, it is also about becoming someone who believes their own word. Another useful shift is to stop respecting excuses just because they sound reasonable. Of course, there will be real situations where delay makes sense, but many everyday delays are not true obstacles. They are just moments of discomfort that the mind wants to avoid. And once you start seeing that clearly, it becomes easier to challenge the pattern. Not aggressively, not with guilt, just honestly. Am I actually unable to start, or am I just uncomfortable? In real life, the people who move forward are not always the ones who feel most ready. They are often the ones who stop negotiating with themselves every day. They feel resistance too. They feel tired too. They get distracted too. But they understand something simple. Waiting for the perfect time usually means waiting too long. So they start smaller. They start messier. They start before it feels impressive. And that is what creates change. If this felt familiar, that is because the starting tomorrow mindset is one of the most common ways people stay stuck without realizing it. A better life usually does not begin on some perfect future day. It begins the moment you stop pushing everything forward and do one real thing now. Follow the channel for more realistic, life-changing content on habits, discipline, focus, mindset, and the everyday patterns that hold people back.